Hi, it's Lauren. Welcome back to my craft room. I'm happy to have you here. And I'm so excited to share with you how you can create some fun dinosaur box cards. I love mixing and matching some of our older sets with newer products, and the Scallop box card is perfect for just about any scene that you want to make. I've already stamped and die cut out a bunch of images from the two dinosaur stamp sets, the Dinosaur Friends and Dinosaur Editions, and I'm going to go very quickly through my coloring. I am using Ohuhu art markers, which are an alcohol marker, so I did stamp on some alcohol marker friendly cardstock with alcohol marker friendly black ink. And I'm just showing you here how I color with these markers. I left a piece of tape there on my mat so that way I would remember to place the marker caps there so you can see the colors if you also use Ohuhu art markers. So I'm going through and coloring the browns. I've colored in my little palm trees here and my volcanoes, and I also add a little bit of little dots or stippling to just add a little bit more texture to my images. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't, and I decided because I have a lot of images with large space that I thought it would just kind of help give a little more texture and interest. So I've been using my BR markers for the brown, and I use GY markers for the green leaves as well as my little tufts of grass. And I'm combining different reds, so R, and yellows, Y, and yellow red, YRs, for my lava. I really wanted it to have a nice red to orange kind of color blend. So I'm coloring a few different colors together and really doing my best to blend those together so that way it looks like a nice red hot lava coming down from the volcano. Now I'm creating two different style dinosaur box cards. I wanted to do one that was more purpley and pink and teal colored with a purple box card, and then I wanted to do one that had a green box card and was more of the green and blue and orange colors. Now I don't want to say one is girly and one is more boy because my daughter would much rather have blue and green dinosaurs than ever have a pink dinosaur on her cards. So just use colors that inspire you for the card receiver, but I wanted to just show some fun combinations for these dinosaur colors. So I have a purple dinosaur and then I have a hot pink dinosaur. I really loved coloring this one in. I just thought it was so fun to have what I would think would be a Barbie dinosaur. Now the Triceratops I did in some more tealishy colors because Triceratops are my favorite dinosaurs. I think they are so cute when they're hand drawn, especially like this, but I definitely think Triceratops are the best. So I'm coloring that one in what I would think would be my favorite color to have a dinosaur. And then I'm also using a lighter bluish gray to color in its three horns. The pterodactyl, I'm going teal, and I'm going to color these two pterodactyls the same color. I'm going to use one for each of the cards, and I feel like it's a good transition color between the dinosaurs there on the left and the next few ones that I'm going to be coloring. I wanted to color my T-Rex green because Rex is one of my favorite characters from Toy Story, so I thought having a green T-Rex would be so fun and a little kind of small tribute to him, I guess you could say. And then my last two dinosaurs, I'm going to go with more bold colors. Well, they're all pretty bold colors, but this one's going to be orange and yellow. And then my last dinosaur will be shades of blue. And again, just really quickly going through the colors. You can always pause the video and write them down if you are interested in any of the color combinations I used today. Again, these are Ohuhu art markers, and I use the Honolulu markers, preferably Honolulu B because they are like a brush tip as well as a nib tip. I do have some that are brush and chisel, but I definitely prefer the combo of the brush and nib. Anyway, I'm coloring in my last little dinosaur, and then I'm also going to off camera add some highlights, but I'm going to slow my video down here so you can see all of the images fully colored in and with white gel highlights. So now let's get into creating our backgrounds. I definitely should have raised up some of my ground color here that I'm using Distress Oxides in Tea Dye and Vintage Photo. You don't see a lot of it in the final card when it's all put together, but the more you look at it, the more you see the background. So just have fun when creating the background of your box card with these dinosaurs. So like I said, my ground is tea dye and my sky is broken china, and I'm going to use Vintage Photo with my stencil. This is the Dino Dig stencil. I'm just going to add in some of these rocks and cliff looking images from the stencil using Vintage Photo and blending it also with the tea dye. I have a magnetic glass mat, and as you can see, I didn't do a very good job at holding my stencil in place, so I grabbed a magnet just to help me. A little bit did kind of smudge, but a lot of it will be hidden behind the different shelf pieces of our box card. So I'm adding some more darker blue. This is prize ribbon, and I'm blending it in with my broken china because I wanted to have a night sky, so I could add in a few of these stars also from the Dino Dig stencil. And I'm going to be using some lunar paste, and this is a gold color. And I just wanted a few stars just to have a little fun and texture and shine in the background. And I did that twice because, again, we're creating 2 box cards. I also die cut some of the pieces of the box card, and these are the little shelf pieces, and I die cut 4. I'm going to use 2 on each card, and I wanted it to look kind of like the ground of my background, so I did the same colors, tea dye and Vintage Photo, to just add some color to those pieces. I also die cut some stitched leafy borders, and I did this in a lighter yellow cardstock, and I'm using my dome foam blenders. I need to replace that one. If you couldn't tell, it kept popping off. And because I started off with a yellow cardstock, I'm going to add in green so I can get some different hues on these leaves. And I'm starting with Twisted Citron. It's one of my favorite colors for that bright, vibrant green. And then I'm going to blend over that, creating an ombre effect with Mowed Lawn. So you can see there on the left, there's one set of leaves done, and I'm just going to be swiping on the color and blending them together on this second leafy border. Once that's done, we can start assembling our boxes. I'm just going to show how to assemble one on camera, as it's the same process for both, but let me get my desk cleaned up and I'll bring out all of the die pieces. So for the first one, I have this kind of shimmery green cardstock, and I'm just folding along the perforated lines. It's kind of like creating a scoring line. And I have the front part that will close up my box, and I'm using 2 of those shelf pieces that are going to be the ground for my dinosaurs and the rest of my images. And I'm using 1/4 inch double-sided adhesive tape to put on both sides of each of those tabs for all 3. So the first green piece, which is going to enclose the box up, and then my 2, I call them shelf pieces, but they just help with adding layering and dimension inside of the box card. So I want this first one to be pretty close to the front. I'm going to start layering pretty close to the very edge of the card, so I wanted it to be really close, so I adhered it right behind the flap that closes the box together. And then I took the next one and I just put it in between the background and that flap, so that way it's kind of centered and gives enough space between my background and the front piece of ground where I'll be attaching the dinosaurs to. Just gives enough space to be able to glue and for my card receiver to see inside the box. Once I have it lined up how I want, I peeled off the release paper from the other side and closed up the box, and that allows the other side piece to pick up those shelf pieces and close the box. And it was a little crooked, so I'm just playing with it and trying to get them as straight as possible. Not that it matters, I think, too much in the grand scheme of things if it's not perfectly straight, because you're going to be gluing different items and your card receiver won't be able to tell. I also die cut the scallop pieces for the sides, and I did that in a yellow glitter paper. And now I'm going to add my leaf details. I'm just adding adhesive to the 2 center leaves, and I'm going to add adhesive to the 2 far end leaves, so one on each side. I I think there's two ways you could do this. You could do it my way, where I'm just adding a little bit of glue to the middle and the sides, and I'm going to glue this to the center of the front part of my box card, and then I'm going to fold the leaves over when it's completely bent and attach it to the side. Now this does leave a little bit of room in the kind of the corners where it folds over and wraps around, but I don't mind that. I wanted my leaves to look like they wrapped around. So if it's your preference and you don't like that little excess kind of bunch up that it gets in the corner, you can always just cut the leaves and glue them on separately. So now I've glued in my background as well to the back side of my box card, and I assembled my purple one too. So now I'm going to start gluing my images in. I'm going to glue my volcano in the background, making sure to cover any of the mistakes I made while I was stenciling and ink blending. If anything looked a little funky, that volcano just covered it right up. And then I also added the little splash of lava coming out, and then I'm adding my two trees to the further back shelf, one on the left and one on the right, having them bend outwards so I have a little more room to work with when gluing down my dinosaurs. I've got my teal triceratops there on the front of my purple box card, and of course the purple dinosaur has to go with the purple box card, and I'm putting that dinosaur on the back shelf with the palm trees. I wanted to add all the dinosaurs, but I just don't have quite enough room, and I didn't want to cut its tail off, so I'm going to just save it and I'm going to add it in a different way to the card. So I'm going to use some of those different leaf pieces and glue them to the open areas within my box card. So I have two here next to the triceratops, and then I will save the third leaf that I colored to be with that stegosaurus. Now for the green box card, I have my large blue dinosaur in the back and my T-Rex on the front. I glued them too far over to the left and I didn't like it, so I peeled them off and scooched them over, which left kind of a weird glue residue, but that's okay. I just covered it with that little grass piece, and now you can't tell that I moved my T-Rex. So they look pretty close to the same, and I'm really liking the overall layout, and I'm going to save that orange dinosaur and the green leaf for the back as well. But let's add in our flying pterodactyl. So for this, I really want it to look like it's flying. So I have some acetate, and I'm just going to add some double-sided adhesive to the top little section of my acetate. I cut this to be 1/2 inch, and I glued my pterodactyl to that piece on one side of the acetate. Using my finger or my nail to kind of indicate where the bottom of the shelf is, so right where that acetate meets the back side, the bottom of that back shelf piece, I trimmed it down so that way the acetate won't go past the bottom of that brown shelf, and I added more double-sided adhesive and glued that down. And when I slow down my video at the end here and give you kind of a final look, you'll see how that acetate is attached. For the sentiment, I just stamped on some of those cute little dinosaur tracks with that tea dye ink, and I'm stamping "You Are Dynamite" with VersaFine and Onyx Black, which is my go-to ink for stamping sentiments, and just doing my best to center that sentiment using my grid glass mat. I'm going to go ahead and glue this right down to the front of the card, overlapping with those leaves, and it just creates a really cute little front card, or front part of the box card with the sentiment and the little dinosaur tracks. I thought was so cute. Now for the back of the card, I die cut another scallop background, and I'm using that so I have somewhere to write a little note, and I'm also gluing down my extra dinosaurs and the little leaf. So here is my stegosaurus, and I'm going to glue the leaf down. Now, as you might have noticed, because I use glitter paper as the side scallop pieces of my box cards, sometimes the leaves and the adhesive just doesn't stick well, so I'm reinforcing those two side leaves on both of them with my wet glue. So here is a final look at the cards. You can see how cute this purple box card is with the more pink and purple colors dinosaurs, and my little pterodactyl flying out of the top of the card I think is so fun. And then here is my green box card with my green and blue and orange dinosaurs, and I just really love how these turned out and how you can completely customize these cards to fit the personality of your card receiver. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial of how you can use some of our older stamp sets to create adorable scenes in your Scallop box card dies, especially when you can customize them for your card receiver. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!